Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. This is Panos here from LearnWorlds. Super happy to have you with us. We are about to start in a few seconds, and we'll be discussing today about how to trim your training budget in 2024. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat box of Zoom. Happy to listen and hear from you. Hopefully we'll have a very lively discussion. Get your input, get your feedback, get your questions, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. We have a great group with us here today. Feel free to send your questions in the Q&A section of Zoom so that we can easily go through them and try to answer as many possible. We'll have a full recording to share with you as well as the deck of the presentation, so don't worry about taking notes or asking for the presentation. We'll make sure to follow up and send it your way. And also the presentation is already, as it's also being live streamed right now in our social media, you will be able to find it on our YouTube channel, on learnworlds.com, or our Facebook page or our LinkedIn page. So multiple ways for you to get access to the content. Sit back and relax. I'm sure we'll have a great presentation for you and share some very valuable content. Looking forward to that. So let's wait a few seconds until everybody's settled, and we'll be on our way. There will be a couple of polls throughout the webinar. And as I mentioned, feel free to send your questions. Hi, Ria. Hi, Mark. Hi, Edna. Hi, Peter. Great to see you all here. Hi, Josh. So I think we're ready to start. No reason to have people waiting for more. So let me turn on my camera and introduce myself. Hi, everyone. This is Panos here. I'm the co-founder and CEO of LearnWorlds. Very happy to have you with us today. Today we'll be talking about how to trim your training budget in 2024. Our aim for today's webinar is to support your efforts in striking the right balance between the budget, your investment, and the outcome of your learning initiatives. It's this time of the year, everybody's preparing their budgets. If you're anything like us, this is where we need to find the right tools and the right balance to plan our efficient growth for the next year. So in our presentation today, we're going to discuss about, we're going to have an overview about current trends in learning and design, and then see how we can align those trends with our day-to-day job. So we're going to discuss about learning needs analysis, about measuring our training ROI, how to set up and cultivate and have very efficient relationship with external providers, how to negotiate with them, and we'll have a very short glimpse about how LearnWorlds can improve you with your training ROI in your day-to-day work. And we'll try to have some time for open discussion and Q&As, as many as possible for today's presentation. So allow me very briefly to introduce our stellar team for this presentation. We'll have with us Brett, who's our customer success expert. We have Elisa, who is our learning designer expert. And I'm very happy to introduce Robert Brandwain, the founder of BSR Idiomas, and who will be talking as an expert, as an L&D expert, about the relationships you can foster with your L&D providers and to share some of his own experiences. So Robert, thanks for having you. It's great having you here on our little panel. So let's go ahead and start tackling today's topic. So we are here together. You've signed up for this webinar because obviously this is something that concerns you. You are fully committed to your L&D goals and to your L&D mission in your company, in your consultancy, in your agency. And we've seen that, we see that day to day from thousands of our customers, people being trying to find ways to empower their employees with the skills that they need to foster both their organizational growth, the growth of the business that everybody needs, but also increasingly to focus on the personal growth of each employee. Everybody is facing challenges on providing high quality training, while also in this today's environment of constraints, also managing the budgets and ensuring measurable outcomes. At the end of the day, everybody here has to report to somebody, whether it's a manager, if you're a manager, to report to a CEO, if you're the CEO, to report to your board, and even higher up. So we're always trying to be very efficient with the resources that we have and try to get the best outcome. And this is what we'll try to tackle here today. And it's not just about one of the things that we'll handle today. It's not just about the effort that you're putting into training, but it's also about the results. It's about the noticeable improvements in employee performance and satisfaction. It's not just about being able to do the job, but it's also about making people feel happy, confident, realizing that they're making progress also in their personal goals, towards their personal goals. And this is increasingly a part of the mission of any L&D manager within a business. It's not just about the training, about sharing the material. It's also ensuring that this material is being in line with people's objectives, also in their personal goals. So as L&D managers, we are seeing every day people who are very responsible, and they feel very responsible about the budget that they have been entrusted with, and they're trying to make sure that every dollar that they spend in training translates into real and measurable value for the organization. This is something that we not only have to do, but we need to be able to measure, and we need to be able to prove in order to champion for more training, which we believe it's absolutely essential for every modern business to be able to adapt into an ever-changing and fast-pacing environment and improve and innovate. And the pace of a business is the pace of its employees. So the more we empower our employees and the more we give them the skills that they need to adapt to this landscape, the better the results we will have in our training efforts. So let's go to Brett now, who will start sharing with us some top trends that our team in L&D for 2024 that our team has identified. So Brett, over to you.
Thanks, Panos. Yeah, so I'd like to jump in, a couple different trends that we're seeing in 2024. The modern employee wants to learn and grow. They seek out companies that invest in their future and that growth. Employees who feel stuck or stagnant are more likely to look for opportunities elsewhere. So according to LinkedIn's most recent workplace learning report, about 93% of the companies that they surveyed mentioned employee retention as a major concern. And if we provide more learning opportunities, it's a great way to retain employees and meet business goals. So in 2024, there's going to be a growing importance for L&D teams to become a key driver for employee retention at your organization. The old way of delivering training just for the sake of delivering training has never really been an effective strategy, and it never really will be. L&D needs to connect employees' learning to their career growth. So this means delivering targeted learning opportunities that meet an employee's career aspirations. Employees need to understand the skills, capabilities, and experiences that they need to make to move upward or lateral career moves within the organization.
Allow me to add here, Brett. These are some great insights, and this is increasingly a theme, especially with younger employees. Everybody understands that, like 20 years ago, people had a single career path. They were going to a job. They were getting trained. Even the tools and the I guess the attitude of training has changed dramatically. When we're talking about millennials and about young workers, people now have choices. They need to be respected, and the training and the satisfaction that they get in their job is a big part of that. If you don't feel valued, if you don't get something valuable out of that training, you won't do that. You just move on to the next job. And employee attrition is something that is affecting significantly many companies who are not able to attract or then retain the right talent. So training is an extremely important part of that. Back to you.
Yeah, the younger generation does tend to kind of jump from position to position to get the skills that they need. But the same thing can go for not just the basic employee, but also leadership panels. The role of leadership is actually evolving in the workplace. It's shifting from that directional leadership training to more of an empowering training. So this means that leadership training will need to change as well. In 2024, leadership training will focus more on training leaders to actively support employee career development. This means leaders will need to be equipped with the skills they need to engage in insightful discussions about their employees' career goals, right? And organizations will also need to enable leaders to connect with employees with suitable learning opportunities that align with their aspirations. So they need to be empowered to be able to basically, talk to somebody in the organization, understand what they are interested in learning about, where they're interested in going with their career, and then providing them with those learning opportunities to actually get there. Companies' executives need to foster an organizational environment that prioritizes learning and leads to an increase in employee engagement. Because if your employees are not happy with what they are doing, they're not happy that they don't have any ability to learn more or to grow within the organization, their engagement in that position or that engagement in the job is going to slowly decrease.
Again, to comment that we see that this is extremely important. The manager no longer is just the person who tells you, what to do on a day-to-day level or set up some goals and then follow up their goals. He has or she has to be a coach as well. And then the employee needs to feel that he is getting or she is getting guidance and support, even in the ways we work, in the ways modern businesses have been structured, with remote work sometimes, with going out of this COVID experience that has been extremely difficult for some people, even on a mental health basis. You don't just need the manager who will tell you what to do and just check a few boxes and throw some training at you and say, okay, that's it, you can now go out and work. You need to be there on a day-to-day basis. You need to support people, and you need to structure the environment within which they can become better and they can perform to the best of their abilities. Otherwise, you're just losing valuable people, valuable skills, and you're doing to your business and to your work a big disservice. And obviously, you're not valuing this expertise that these people bring enough. So back to you, Brett.
There's a couple other big factors that I think we see now, but we're going to see more of in 2024, and that is the release of AI and short-lived competencies. So I did want to touch on this as something that we should discuss. The World Economic Forum predicts that about 44% of core skills will change significantly by 2027. That's not that far off. We're heading into 2024 now. So within 3 years, 44% of the core skills that that our employees have today are going to change. The need for certain skills are going to change. So how do we prepare for this? L&D teams will need to adapt into a rapid skill evolution, addressing challenges of rapidly shrinking skill lifespans through effective upskilling and skill gap closure. It's more important than ever to develop frameworks to identify essential skills for business critical operations and see how they might evolve. Now, the release of AI caused a complete shockwave across the business world. And I'm sure many of you probably feel that now, but when ChatGPT released back in November of last year, it reached about 100 million users in about 60 days. AI isn't necessarily a new thing, but it is the availability to the basic consumer is. And L&D leaders are already using it to build courses, course outlines, assessments, even course material. In fact, 85% of organizations today are talking about adopting frontier technologies like AI over the next 5 years. So not only do we need to train our employees on different skill sets and core skill sets, but we need to start looking at how we can train them on AI, because AI isn't perfect. It can produce inaccurate or biased results. And employees need to be trained not only how to use that tool in their organization, but also how to spot inaccurate information and flaws in that content. And
I can assure our audience here that the use of AI in the modern workplace is the top concern and the top priority for all tech businesses, for all CEOs, for all board of directors, and for all tech investors right now. This is something that is, by all means, it's not perfect. We know that, but the pace of innovation and the pace of development and evolution is amazing, and everybody understands that this thing is here to stay, probably sooner rather than later. And the changes that we see for the future, whether it's 2027, might already be too far in the future. We are seeing things moving very, very fast, far earlier. And there was this like study from the 90s about people eventually having to do like in the 21st century, probably have to switch 6 to 8 careers within their lifetimes. Now we're probably talking about 6 to 8 careers within a decade. The skills are changing so fast. And as you said, it's not just about the skills and how AI complements the worker or replaces the worker, but it's also about the ethics, the quality of the AI output, the hallucinations, how we can spot fake information, because AI will not just be our assistant in our work, but can also be an adversary if it comes from an external factor, from an external agent. So this is going to be developing these skills. It's absolutely crucial. These are skills that can really transform the work landscape. They can transform any business and any industry, but can also transform the career of every individual. So people are very much concerned about that, and we need to be there to support them. It's like people were talking about cybersecurity and the dangers of our cybersecurity, and every business went out to train their employees, rightfully so, about being cyber secure aware. This is 100 times bigger, probably. So we need to be ready to train our people. We need to be ready to support them. And also, we need to plan, which goes far beyond the L&D, but it starts with the people always, to be able to plan how we can gain efficiency and productivity from these tools. If we don't do it, if our company doesn't do it, the others will do it. So we cannot close our eyes and avoid the problem. The technology is already out there, so we need to be prepared for that. And preparing our people, it's the best thing that we can do.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's AI in everything nowadays, Panos, and just let it replace everything is not really the way to go. You're going to have to be trained up on those particular tools and that frontier technology, right? The next trend that I want to discuss here was about developing engaging content and format and timing, right? So it all kind of plays together as one. With only 23% of employees engaged at work globally, that's a pretty low number if you think about it. Coupled with the fact that employees want more development opportunities, L&D must ensure that their training programs are hitting the mark. We need to make sure that the content that we're putting together isn't just basic training, like here is a training on sales. It needs to be more, and it needs to engage these employees and get them engaged as they go through the training. So training is it's a key driver of employee engagement and retention. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. But learning leaders need to understand the needs and the preferences of their workforce to develop training that resonates and engages with these audiences. For instance, maybe an instructor-led training, or ILT, might be a better fit for a frontline worker at a manufacturing plant, whereas mobile learning and job aids might be a better fit for like an on-the-go sales team. So learners need relevant content available when and where they need it most.
This is very important, to choose the best training material and the best method for the task at hand and for the kind of employees we have. It's about instructor-led. It's about simulations in some cases. It's about doing training where and when people are, whether it's through a mobile device that people carry with them in their job if they are mobile workers or frontline workers. So these things are extremely important. The clear thing is that e-learning is de facto the default mode of learning. Like a few years ago, it was extremely normal for any company to bring in 500 employees within a hotel for 5 hours of PowerPoint. That doesn't work anymore. So this might have brought in some engagement and some mingling of people and, having some good times. But in terms of efficiency and training effectiveness, this is absolutely a disaster. It's orders of magnitude more expensive. So this is where we need to be smart and strategic with our tools. This is where we need to have the right flexible tools to adapt the training in the different situation. Different training model for the leadership of a business, different for the first line employees. So we need also flexible approach in how we develop the content and how we do the training, but also very flexible tools that can adapt to all these different business models, to all these training scenarios, and can help us build efficient training with high ROI, and how to trim our budgets at the end of the day. Because if everybody had infinite training budget, then we could all be doing training every day for several hours. That's not the option. So we have to be very picky, very strategic, and trying to find those instances and those interactions that can bring in high ROI to our business. And this should be measurable.
Yeah. I can't remember how many sales trainings I sat through in my past career, and most of them were PowerPoint, and I'd say about 20% way through those you've got the entire sales team disengaged at that point. So I agree with you. The learning has to adapt. It has to change to your users. It's going to be engaging, and it's going to drive them forward in their career education. So right now we are going to do a quick poll. So it would be really, really helpful if everyone could just, and I think we'll throw it up here in the chat or the Q&A here. If everyone could just kind of get engaged in that a little bit. We're just looking to see if there's any other trends that you've noticed in the industry or expect in the industry moving forward. It'd be really nice to get everyone's opinion and see what maybe something we missed when it comes to trending.
And also, along with the answers to the poll, let's get also your questions in the Q&A. Sarah here from our team is collecting the questions, and we'll try to go through them. What you mentioned, Brett, is this is an extremely important change. In the past, when we're talking about training managers, HR, or let's say the L&D people of that era, they were just happy if they could throw a 100-page PDF at you or a PowerPoint and say, okay, that's it, you have been trained, you tick the box. That might be okay for compliance purposes, but it definitely doesn't bring value to you. It doesn't move any needles for the business. It doesn't push any growth lever. So it's important now, and especially millennials are the first to understand and know that. We have fresh young people out of the university, very interested, very, very engaged, also used to having amazing, slick digital experiences with their iPads and their tablets and their gaming devices. And then you just throw them, a 60-minute slow-paced recording of a speech that somebody gave somewhere, and obviously after 10 minutes you lose them. They've dozed off. Yeah. Or you just throw a 200-page PDF at them and say, okay, this is your sales training. Now go out and perform 3 times as much. I want 3 times more leads. It doesn't work. We always knew that. We pretended that it wasn't like that. So we said, okay, let's go through that training. Now everything is more expensive. We have to be very strategic with our interactions and be able to add value to the business and to the employees directly. So now let's go to the difficult part, the budget and the money. Who pays for all that, and how we can make sure that the limited budget that we have that is entrusted to us can bring in the biggest result. What we'll be talking here today is changing a bit. It's a continuation of what we were just saying here with Brett, is changing our viewpoint and not talking about the familiar, I guess probably every L&D manager is familiar with training need analysis, but we want to take it to a next step and talk about the learning needs analysis. And this is, again, a switch of the viewpoint from the training, our effort, what L&D or HR does, the PDF that we mentioned, to the learning, the results. What is the observable result in the employee that is getting trained? So it's not about measuring what we do as trainers, which it's okay, it's an effort we're doing, we're sending out, we're broadcasting the information. Here we're trying to see what is the reception, what the learner got out of this, how we closed these gaps in the skills. So this is also, it's a change of viewpoint, but it's also a framework that helps us to avoid some common pitfalls, whether it's the lack of clear goals and objectives for the training, whether it's poor data collection and analysis, or lack of the stakeholder involvement, or of the engagement of the actual users. So again, let's try to have this mentality, and I'm sure many of you obviously understand that, and it's something that you're already implementing. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's not just measuring our effort in terms of the training, it's going closer to the employee, to their needs, because they are the ones who are going to implement and to the things that they've learned, and hopefully improve the growth of the business or the output of the business. So this is where we need to focus. So this is our shift from training to learning, and we are insisting on a learning needs analysis rather than a training needs analysis, because we want to go beyond the skills gap and encompass the career aspirations and the learning styles of the students, the learners, the employees. They need to understand that we are doing a conscious effort to align our organization goals and the skills that the business needs from them with their career aspirations, with their options, increasing their options and their likelihood of having a successful career within that organization or the next organization. And also to be prepared for emerging trends and technologies, like we mentioned with AI. That's something, it's inevitable, it's happening now, not in 5 years. So we need to get them ready for that. And by focusing our effort on the employee, not on the focusing our work not on the training, on the effort, but on the outcome, the learning. We're also investing on these people. We're enhancing their satisfaction. We are increasing, obviously, the employee retention, which is a major problem for modern businesses, and we are able to better measure the ROI of this training. So this is here as repositioning of that framework from training to learning needs, and this is an analysis in 6 steps. This is, I believe, it's the most important slide of this presentation. So keep it in mind. And this is also the framework that will allow us to go closer to the ROI. So what we want to do here is we want to start by setting our targets. Think about what our team really needs to achieve at the end of the day, of the month, of the quarter, of the year. And then after we have these goals, then we can go back and see what kind of training and what kind of skills is needed to deliver on this goal. So that's the second step. After we know where we want to be, we know what are the KPIs and the metrics and the numbers that we want to move, then we go one step below and start mapping out the needed skills. So how are our people going to achieve those goals? What is it that we need to give them? What extra skills they need? What skills are needed, and what KPIs we should measure in order to achieve our goal. So this is obviously, this means that we understand the work of our people. We understand what is their reality, whether they're managers, leadership, whether they are employees that work out in the field or in a factory or anywhere else. We need to understand the job. We need to understand what is the end goal and to find the real skills that we need to improve. And the next step is to figure out what's missing. So there we need assessments, we need reviews, we might need interviews, we might need also some good old observation, to focus groups, all the tools at our disposal, depending on the situation, to understand what are our current skills and what are the skills that are missing. So this is the important goal of this step, of this third step, is to find the gaps in what our employees need to learn. And the next natural step, because this is a very rational and linear, I guess, framework, is to choose the right training. So now that we know what we want to achieve and what is missing, the next step is to find the right training for that situation. So we might need to get training from outside. We might need to tap into our own internal knowledge and knowledge management and the knowledgeable people within the business. But this is the treatment. This is the knowledge that we need to send out to these people in order to help them into the job. The next step is keeping track of our progress, because without measurement we cannot improve anything. And we cannot prove that we have improved anything. And this is an extremely important part for every professional that, as we mentioned, at the end of the day has to go back to their manager or to their organization and say, okay, this is what we have achieved with what you have entrusted us. So this is not just about learning and forgetting about it. We need to have some smart ways to measure the effectiveness of this training. And this is where, again, we need flexible tools adapted to each situation, whether it's assessments, tests, quizzes, self-assessments, surveys, feedback, performance metrics, even actual numbers on the job. If things are measurable, we might be measuring, let's say, the sales that or the pipeline that the salesperson generated, the tickets that the support agent has answered, or the equipment, let's say the widgets that an employee has manufactured in a manufacturing line. So we have these metrics, and this is how we can see how we move the needle, how we make things to work best. And at the end of the day, we need to gather all these training ideas, put them into a proposal. It's a very important part, because we want to promote our job as L&D managers. We want to go in front of our higher ups and have a very solid proposal in order to get the budget that our employees are entitled to, and they deserve that kind of budget and that kind of support. So we need to help them with a very solid proposal. There's always a very common question. I'm not sure if it's also shared here by the audience, about bringing in an external consultant who can help us with this whole framework. That's obviously a very handy idea, and if you can have the budget. If you have the budget for that, if you're running a large organization and you haven't done this before, it's always, you can get some great help from amazing professionals out there that can help you do that. But there's no one that can solve that problem without you or for you. You have to be there. Nobody can know the business better than you do, and better than your team knows the business. So even if you bring in somebody, you have to be there next to them, and you have to control every step of the process. And this is where we were thinking about how we can, because we're talking about budgets, how we can make this easier and more affordable to you. What kind of help, like if you don't have the budget for a consultant and you have to do it yourself, what is the help that you can get? And talking about AI, we thought about getting some AI assistance in doing these steps. Let's have ChatGPT help us in preparing a tailored learning needs analysis for us. So this is a nice little prompt that our team here prepared. I think we're sharing it now in the chat. So feel free to copy paste it, and obviously fill in the variables and go in and see. Ask this very plain question about how ChatGPT, with this context here, can help you draft your learning needs analysis. It's impressive how if you provide the right brief context and some nice little details about the situation here, and a very clear question, inquiry towards ChatGPT, we can get some great answers, a great framework that's by no means it's ready, but it's a starting point for us to go in and evolve and adapt to our own situation. So this is something that we also find ourselves increasingly doing. Asking ChatGPT for some assistance and for some nice ideas, and this can be a nice sparring partner for every professional to get some outside view, even if it's artificial, and to see to improve our business and to improve our thinking. So this is the full the second part of the of the prompt. It's quite extensive. This is also why it's effective, because we tested a lot and we did lots of prompt engineering in order to get something back that is useful. So if you have access to ChatGPT, Eleni here from our customer support team has shared the text on the chat. Go in, take it, play around with it, and see what you can get. For us, we found some very nice insights that I admit we hadn't thought ourselves. So it's a great starting point for your own efforts. Now the next part and another equally critical part is. When talking about budgets, obviously, is the return on investment. This is where we have also to prove that what we are doing is working. And let's see our approach. Again, we are basing our ROI on the work that we have already done on the previous step, the learning needs analysis. So this is the best instrument to start from and start thinking in ROI terms. That's again the proof that what we are doing here works. Again, we are starting with the goals that we have defined for the business and the identity gap, the gaps that we have identified in terms of the skill. And the next step is to have some data, some benchmarks, the starting point, the measuring point before the treatment. So what was the situation of these workers, of these employees before? What was their performance? What was their output? What were the measurable points that we are trying to improve? Get those benchmarks. In some cases, you can even have a control group. You can have two groups of people, train some, don't train some, and then see after a certain amount of time. And for lots of interventions, you need quite a lot of time to be able to have some visible changes on their behavior, on their output, on their performance. So we have defined the goals. We are establishing our benchmarks. We are doing the treatment, the training, what kind of the training that we have established in the previous steps. And then we are trying to measure what has been the effect of that training after a certain period of time has passed. So what was the measurable improvement, whether it's the actual performance, how many tickets people can support, the time between faults, or the number of accidents or of faulty equipment or output in a production line, the number of complaints in a restaurant. There are, I'm sure everybody here can share numerous examples from their own businesses and from their own industries. You need that measurable benchmark, and then to find what has been the effect of that training. Unless you prove it and you measure it, it didn't happen. Your training didn't have any effect. It might have checked a few boxes, but it didn't move the needle of the business. It didn't improve people's satisfaction and engagement. So you might as well not have done it and save yourself the fuss and save the business some money. So this is how the ROI framework fits. It's a natural extension of the learning framework. And what to measure and what to evaluate. If you have any additions here, feel free to shoot them in the chat. These are just some of the things that people measure on a day-to-day basis within their business. I'll spare you reading the slide. There's no need for that. There are quantitative measures here. There are qualitative measures, and there are also some training KPIs. The last part can be very, very concrete. This is something that usually your LMS, your platform has, where you can just have the proof, how many students got in, the completion rates, the learner satisfaction, their test results in the platform. So this is something that is very concrete, and obviously this is a big part of what LearnWorlds does for all the users. And again, when we're talking about costs, there are two things that when structuring our budget, we have to think about. We have the direct cost of that training, whether it's simply the software, the LMS subscription, or the licenses. In some cases, if we have, and I know from day-to-day experience with our customers that LMS subscription in some cases can run into dozens of thousands of dollars or euro per year. So this can be, especially if you have a small team, if you're working for an SMB or with a tighter budget, this can be something that can really throw your training off the rails. So this is something that that can be very expensive, and you want to be here very innovative and try to find a tool that is very flexible and very affordable that can help you implement all the things that you have in mind. We're talking about the course development and the materials, whether you develop that material internally, or whether you're getting somebody from the outside, some custom made, some bespoke content, or you're getting content from a library, whether you're bringing in an external training provider for some live sessions in some cases, licensing fees, equipment that you might need, renting rooms or renting presentation equipment. All these things can really, I'm sure you know from experience, can really become very, very expensive and can make your job so much more difficult. And obviously the indirect cost, because no training is without involvement from the rest of the business, whether it's admin, whether it's just the personal time of the people involved. And this is where, again, you can think about even having people do the training when they like, from their own houses, while they're commuting, using their own devices. All these little things in a large organization or in a decentralized organization, they can really, at the end of the day, have a very big impact on what you are doing. I think now it's a time for another little poll that we will be throwing here. And some other significant cost factors that you face on your day-to-day job as you are preparing and working with your budgets. And so it would be nice. We probably forgot to add a few things or don't know a few things. So it would be great to have your input as well here. And a last couple notes from me. This is just a little handy ROI calculation based on the model I presented before. Effectively, we're trying to see here what has been the improvement, the net benefit of that training. Let's say I was getting X amount of dollar value from a specific job role before, and now I'm getting 2X, which means that there has been a net benefit in the output for the company. And this can be monetary, or this can be any other unit or benchmark that you are measuring, and convert this into monetary value, and then you deduct from that the total training cost and you divide. So this is a little simple formula. It's effectively the same as growth calculation. So you're trying to see if you're putting in $1 to training, or $1,000 or $100,000, what extra you are bringing back to the business in terms of any one of the metrics. And we understand that there might be intangible metrics here, whether it's employee retention or employee satisfaction, but I'm sure you can get the right data from other departments and see what is the cost of retention, of churn of an employee. All these things you can find smart ways, and you need to be very flexible here to find the right ways to present the value of the training that you are offering. And I'm sure there are, and also feel free to chip in with your own ideas here, how we can make our job more convincing and how we can secure the funds that we need to train the people in our business. And I think the final slide from me, it's about some more tips to slash costs and increase ROI. Again, I'll spare you going through reading the slide here. What I wanted here to mention, it's a very nice example that I from our own company, from our own customers, that I increasingly see, and this is one of the most satisfying cases. It's when a business comes to us and they want to do some internal training and they have never done it before. Perhaps they're hiring an L&D manager for the first time, or they have somebody from HR or somebody else to start and doing some training, and they come to us and they have no idea. They don't know where to start from. And we tell them, you don't have to go out and buy expensive courses. You can just record your own courses. There are so much easy technology to use. You can just use, an iPhone and record a few short videos. And these things can go a long way into keeping your employees engaged and trained in little things. And you don't have to create, a 60-minute course. You can just do some quick videos, which you can easily replace once you're ready. And so these guys, they go out, they start doing some training, they feel very happy. And at some point, they start investing more. They're doing more elaborate courses, more quality courses, because they are really seeing the impact of their training. And in some cases, they come back to us and say, okay, you know something? We've done this amazing training. Our business is profiting so much for that. But we also know there are so many other businesses out there that could use our content. So can we sell it to them? So at that point, this is extremely easy to do with a platform like LearnWorlds, because it also includes e-commerce functionality. So it's easy to just clone your courses, strip out any confidential information, obviously, adapt it to different customers or different industries, and start selling it. So training, in these cases, training didn't even exist, and then it became a thing, still bringing in costs to the business and requiring an investment. And at some point, from a cost center, it became a profit center. And now the L&D managers can do some training and even sell it to smaller businesses and profit from that course. So that's one of the most impressive trajectories I have seen about people thinking about the content and the value of the content that they have created, and making sure that it doesn't only profit their own businesses, but also helps other businesses as well. So I think it's now time to pass the baton to Robert, who's the co-founder of BRS Idiomas. He has worked with major corporates and will provide you some more insights on how to work efficiently with external providers in order to build win-win collaboration when it comes to learning and design. Robert, I'm passing the baton to you.
Well, thank you very much, Panos, and it's always a pleasure being here. Well, just to tell you a little bit about BSR Idiomas, we are a language coaching institute or academy based in Bogota, Colombia, and we've been in business for more than 20 years. Most of our clients are B2B. We started working B2B even before the possibility of selling online courses. So that meant we would go to the offices and teach the classes there. And gradually we started morphing into providing a blended environment. And of course, with the pandemic, it just propelled. And we managed to be, I mean, we've changed LMSs at least 4 times until finally we made it to LearnWorlds. And luckily, this has been the place where we found our home, where we can basically iterate to cater to the customer's needs. So when you're dealing, one of the things that's interesting about teaching a language and being the external provider is that it's very difficult for a company to have an in-house language trainer. You know, it's a different, you know, it's not like, oh, you need to know about our business in order to teach English, but maybe you could cater your English or your Portuguese training process to cater to our banking business, pharmaceutical business, oil and gas business, et cetera. So, of course, it's very easy with a learning management system to move things here and there and cater to what the client needs. But at the same time, you need to evaluate the costs for you and the costs for the company who is your customer. Why? Because, of course, you want to develop a long-term relationship with the customer, okay? We've been very, let's say, I think maybe we've done a good job, but we've had customers for more than 10 years. Banks, pharmaceuticals. One of our Colombia's main banks, they were the ones that they wanted us to develop the English learning program for their corporate university. And at the end, so that was one of the things that propelled our business English department, and that has brought benefits both for the company and for us, which is great. But when you think about this long-term relationship, you have to be flexible in your pricing model. It's one of those things that, I mean, you don't want to go overboard, but at the same time, there's one very important thing that people, especially with languages, it's difficult to have people engaged, and we all know this. No, even if they're engaged, it's very difficult to measure if they're really learning a language or not. So they're being able to watch all the videos, doing all the exercises, playing all the games that you set out there, passing all the exams, even if it's multiple choice. Now, for example, in LearnWorlds, you can upload videos, upload audios, and that way you get more interaction from the customer, for example, and you're being able to measure a person's level development. But at the end of the day, what is the KPI? Can you speak the language or not? Did you achieve the standards? We go by the Common European Framework Reference for Languages, the CFR, which is basically, okay, if you were A1, did you develop the skills to go to A2? It's not only about doing all the activities, it's about actually, all right, can you do it or can't you? And do you need to repeat, or do you need to have extra activities here and there? So having a very flexible LMS is what makes the magic, because if you're not able to move things around, then it's going to be a stagnant course and you're not going to be able to cater to the customer needs. Now, one extra thing that I think it's worth mentioning, well, the pandemic really helped us propel what happened. Secondly, now we're being able to teach all over the world, which is amazing. So we have one US-based customer who is in charge of selecting healthcare professionals to be able to immigrate to the United States. And those healthcare professionals are basically Latin people that live from Canada to Argentina. I mean, all the Americas. And now we're getting people from Spain and Italy joining the platform, joining the course, which we find amazing. And we teach Zoom classes, which we integrate into LearnWorlds, and then they're recorded. And so we offer this blended environment that not only caters to the US-based customer, but to all the end users as well. Now, it's a challenging trip because now we're moving from business to healthcare, and we're changing all our a lot of our content, and we're doing it really quickly. We're taking advantage of AI as well, and it's amazing. But lastly, we're using the LMS to train our teachers as well, to train our coaches. So we create our own internal courses. It's first of all, it makes it more efficient. 20 years ago, it was basically, as you were saying, I was laughing because yes, like me and the rest of the teachers in a hotel for 8 hours, and me giving it wasn't the boring PowerPoint, because at the end of the day, it's teaching. So it's interactive. There are activities, but still, there are a lot of expenses being saved. There's a lot of time being saved. There's more tracking. You can track if a teacher is actually watching the videos, doing the exercises, and transferring that information to the client. Okay, so I think there are benefits across the board, and it's a very exciting time to be to be in L&D. I think it's the game has been changed, and it will, as you were saying, Panos, it will definitely change in the next quarter. I mean, it's very exciting, but at the same time, it's very scary how quick this is going. So you need to be open-minded, flexible. You need a flexible LMS, and you need to have a flexible relationship with your customer. Just to finalize, no matter what side of the equation you're in, if you're an agency, if you're the user, you need to have transparent communication about your goals are, and you need to share the goals. So that's basically I think that's the most important thing. Just listen to your customer and listen to the end user.
Thanks, Robert. Some great insights here. Language teaching, probably one of the most difficult things to do. It's by definition a social skill. It's something that you need people to be around, to try to have coffee, to try to interact, to try to do all these things. On the other end, and that's something that we learned the hard way during the pandemic, it's extremely difficult to scale. So how many hours per week can Robert teach? Like 30, 40, 50, 60? How many pieces can somebody catch you in? So this is where a platform can really scale your business globally. where you can have your training broadcasted 24/7 to a global audience, and you are targeting the Americas, and then you have people from Spain coming in, and then all these thing goes, it's multiplied and it's scaling. And this is where also the flexibility comes in, because you really definitely need these one-to-one or group interactions, these live sessions that can really bolt the progress that has been made. And this is, but flexibility is the name of the game. As you said, things change by the quarter and by the month. And this is where you need to adapt to different industries. You need to adapt to different languages. You need to adapt to different skills. So any L&D managers and every trainer, especially in this day and age, they need all the help they can get from technology. It's not us versus the technology or against the technology. That's, I think, it's probably settled as a debate. But we need to become better in using it to our own benefit and to the benefit of our own employees, whether it's by enhancing our productivity with AI, having better content that is translated, content that is enhanced with images and graphics, and the things that were extremely difficult or expensive to do for a trainer, to acquire quality graphics, or to have a translation being made, or even some content being edited or some content being repurposed. These are things now that we have to do in order to be more efficient in our work and be able to touch more businesses and transform more businesses. Training is so satisfying. I also have a background in, I come from a background in academia. There's nothing more satisfying than being in front of an engaged audience of people who interact with you. They respond to what you are saying. They're asking their questions. You have these nice little debates. This cannot be transformed or transposed the same way in the tech sphere, in the online sphere. But there you can have so much more impact, and you can have so much more reach, and you can make the lives of many people so much better. And it's also great that you're coming from a language training background, because this is definitely one of the skills that is transformative for a person, not just for a business, but it's also I'm a firm believer that learning is a superpower, and I think learning another language, and which opens your eyes to a different culture, and it's one of the most transformative things a person can do. So it's impressive how effective that can be, and it's also we're extremely satisfied that you were able to find, let's say, your tech home with LearnWorlds, and you were able to use that flexibility. And this is also one of our biggest drivers here, to try to bring you the tools that you need to be better at your job. We are learning along with you. We are facing the same problems. We are learning from the challenges that you are facing as you are building your businesses, and thus you're expanding. So we try to follow your evolution, and to bring you the tools that allow you to adapt to this very fast pacing world. So we don't have all the answers, but we face the same questions as you do, and we want to help you solve those issues and drive your business forward. So that's extremely satisfying I think for our entire team to listen to cases like that, and to see how people make good use of this of what the platform has to offer. So I think, because we're running out of time, we can very quickly go to the next part, where and I'm passing the baton to Elisa, who has some great things to show to us about using the actual LearnWorlds platform, and things that you can do to measure your impact, improve your ROI, and some of the tools that can help you actually implement what Robert just said.
Yes, exactly. Hello, everyone. I understand we're in a little bit of a time crunch. So Panos, if you can go over to the next slide, since this is just introductory. So what I'm going to do here today is that I'm going to give you a short demo the tools that an L&D manager would be using in an everyday to-day life in LearnWorlds. So obviously we have a little bit of a plan over here for the day. So you start off with your coffee, and then first thing you need analytics and you need reportings, right? And LearnWorlds can offer that, whether you want to give that to any managers, stakeholders, team leads. There's a way for you to do that, and I'll show you in a little bit. Perhaps you have another meeting with content agency, whether some of your contents either in your pages or in your courses need to be updated, right? Then maybe an external user needs to have access into your academy. For instance, that content agent, just to make the changes for you, help you out. So in case you have any external collaborators, you need to offer them personalized and maybe restricted access into the platform. So I'll show you how you can do that. We'll see how they can review the activities, how they can change that. We'll have a little bit of a look with AI as well, how we can do that and the variety of the activities that you can add. And finally, we'll see how we can find out more on the learning needs of the end user. So how can we get some feedback from them so that we can better the content that we have and the courses that we offer for the training. So if you can allow me to share my screen, Panos, I'm gonna start with my, give me just a second. I'm going to start with my presentation, my demo. So hopefully you can see my screen. And this is basically what a LearnWorlds dashboard looks like. I went straight ahead into the menu right here with the reports. So I can show you exactly that. So one of the things that I mentioned is reporting and analytics. And I think Robert mentioned that as well. Not only is it important because it's interactive, but also because you can track the user's progress. You can track what they're doing, how long did they watch from a video, or how far along they are with their progress. So this is exactly what you can do over here. So I'm going to go straight into the advanced section because I like this a lot more. So right here, you'll find a ton of filters that you can use to kind of build out that report. So you can select users based off how many certificates they got, or based on a specific email that they have, right? So for instance, you're working with a group that have a specific email domain. You can just have a report with only those users, or based on their activity when they were last active, or even based on the courses. Perhaps you want to run a report on a specific course, on the users of that course, right? So there is more than 82 filters for you to use to just come up with your report. You can save it as a segment, you can export it, and you can also schedule it. So the system can produce reports for you, and you can decide whether those are going to be weekly, monthly. It's absolutely up to you. And you can fill in the receiver's email right here, right? So if you have a manager, you need to, go take the reporting to, you can do that straight from here. So this is the reporting for the user's progress, but we also mentioned analytics, and we have analytics on the courses as well. Not only, but I'm just going to focus on that. So we have what we call the course insights, and that is a lovely dashboard. It's going to show you some of the top courses in the academy. And of course, you can zoom into any course that you want to, and then that is going to take you over to the just hold on, let me give this a moment to load. So you can specifically view the course, a specific course analytics. So what is going on with that course? Hold on, let me show you from here because I see a little delay over there. Just bear with me. Sometimes due to the presentation that's at the same time, there may be a few delays. So what I wanted to show you is that if you click on any course, you'll see that it's going to take you over to the dashboard specifically for that course. So isn't that great? You can find analytics on the average score for it. This funnel is my absolute favorite. Now, obviously, I picked just a random course over here, but you'd be able to see how many users started this course and how many actually ended it. And it doesn't stop here. You can even have an activity breakdown. And this is what I love the most. So it's very frequent where we sometimes find bottlenecks, where for some reason something went wrong, people just started abandoning the course. And this is where this helps. So the activity breakdown lets you know how many people viewed the activity and how many actually completed it, right? And you can see that for each activity. So for you, you can go in and take a look, and you'll see that, for instance, 100 people maybe completed this one, but the next one only 2. So you understand where the problem lies, and you can go ahead and fix that and so on. So not only user progress reports that you can save and schedule, but also analytics for the course as well. And of course, you can also download these too. Now, I'm going to move on to another topic, another feature. So we mentioned that sometimes we have external collaborators, whether for Robert, perhaps it's another instructor, maybe you have another language you want to teach, or just a content agent that they're just going to go in to update your content, right? Now, typically, you definitely don't want to give them full access into your academy, right? You don't want them to have access to your financial documents and information over here, right? So you want to restrict that. So a way to do that is via our user roles option. So right here, you can create custom user roles just to personalize that access with specific permissions in the platform. So I've just created an example over here just so that I can show you. So let's say that we have an external content agency, and I'm gonna go ahead and click on edit over here just so that you can see. So you'll see that you have permissions to select from. So will this external agent have access to my courses? You can expand this and decide exactly what access they can have. They'll be able to edit the layout, create and manage course content, and so on. I'm not going to go through all of the list, but just so that you get an idea, you can decide whether they can have access to your site builder, users, communication, and other aspects of the platform. So again, for external collaborators that are going to come in and to offer some help or just do a specific job, you can create a specific user role for them, and they will only have access to what you will choose. So this is one option. So let me go over here, and something else that you can do is that you can also simulate that user. So I'm going to do just that, just so that you can view the platform the way that user would, right? And there's a reason why I want to do that. So I'm going to go over here to a course, and let's say that I am the content agent and I want to just update some content on this course. I'm clicking on the course, and that's going to take me over to the course. So just bear with me while it's loading. And I'm going to show you over here. So this is the course. I can go straight into the content and just pick whichever content I want to update. You'll see that there's a great variety of contents that we have. We mentioned interactivity earlier and how it's a great way to just keep users engaged, and LearnWorlds helps you do exactly that. So you can add multimedia types, videos, and even use interactive elements and add them via LearnWorlds. PDFs, of course, SCORMs. If you're working with SCORMs, of course, you can use them in LearnWorlds as well. You can add audios, YouTube videos, SoundCloud tracks, live sessions, especially after COVID. They have skyrocketed. Social aspect, you can build that into your course stream. Ebooks also have interactivity in them because they don't necessarily need to be just text. You can add a bunch of things into the ebook. You can, of course, have exams and assessments, whether that is graded or non-graded, whether you want them to be open-ended or closed-ended. There's so many options in assessments. Forms, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. Certificates, and you can also embed items as well. Now, we mentioned AI as well earlier, and LearnWorlds actually has an AI assistant embedded into the platform, just in case you weren't familiar. And there's a ton of ways and places inside the platform where you can use that. But definitely the most useful one is when you're creating the course. Sometimes we may be a little bit stuck on either coming up with a title, or just expanding some text. So AI can help not only with that, but also with creating whole layouts for the course or sections. So all you need to do is just fill in, for instance, right here, the title, how many sections you want for that course, the type of activities that you want it to include. You can specify the numbers of the activities, the tone of voice, instructional approach, and so on. I'm not going to do it just to save up some time, but it's extremely helpful, and it can help you with creating the whole layout, a specific section, or even one activity. So it can help you do all of that. Something last is the form. And why would we need a form builder? So we mentioned that we want to review the user's training needs, but how are we going to get that feedback? A great way to do that is, of course, with the help of the forms. LearnWorlds allows you to create your own forms. You can add a bunch of different question types in there, multiple choice, open-ended, rating questions. And you can add the form either perhaps towards the end of a course, kind of like a feedback form, or really anywhere else. It could be somewhere on a page, wherever you want to add it. I have added a few questions over here. I don't think we have enough time to go through all of them, but obviously you can customize these. So I have one right here. What is your current role, for instance, in marketing team? and they can just go ahead and select that. So all sorts of different type of questions, right? Closed-ended, open-ended, where they just simply need to go ahead and type in some text. Rating, on scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate the quality leads generated in the past year, for instance? So yeah, just so many ways to also get just some feedback for the training, for the users' training needs. And then, of course, with this feedback, you can go ahead and make changes to your courses and to your training. And I think that's pretty much it for me. We can actually go back into the presentation and just wrap it up with the next slide, if you can, Panos. Yeah, over here. So just a little wrap up over here with what you can do with LearnWorlds. So we saw some of these. You can showcase training effectiveness and ROI with advanced data monitoring, both for content, for user progress, and the course insight that we saw. You can increase learners' engagement and completion rates through interactivity and personalized learning experiences. Of course, I didn't have time to explain all of these. There's a ton of other features that can help you do all of these things. Of course, you can reduce admin time and work with automations. I didn't have time to show that, but just another feature that you can use. You can also switch seamlessly between platforms through integration. So if you have specific tools that you're using, I don't know, it could be Zoom or it could be an email tool, whatever it is. We also have integration with some of the most popular tools out there, so you can seamlessly use both platforms. You can expand your training capabilities without the need of any other external tools, because yes, if you already have them and if you work with them, definitely you can connect them. But LearnWorlds is an all-in-one platform. It kind of provides you everything you need to actually do your training, but obviously it helps you and facilitates if you want to use an external tool as well. And finally, we do protect your content and your personal data as well. And yeah, I think that's a wrap for how LearnWorlds can help you. Obviously, there's a ton of other things that we don't have enough time to do that. So I definitely suggest that you also do your own research from the inside. Panos, back to you.
Thanks, Elisa, for this presentation. I think what you, if it's one takeaway from this presentation, besides the main point of focusing not on the effort that you put in the training, but on the outcome, on the learning. The second thing is about flexibility, and this is also something that we saw in your poll answers, talking about micro learning, talking about finding people where they are in their line of work and where they are and when they are, and train them there. So you need also the tools to follow these kinds of trends that give you opportunity to create flexible training, micro training, to constantly repurpose and reinvent your content, and also in a multimedia way. So transform it from one medium to the next, whether it's from text to video, and use all these things, adapting to the learning styles of your students, and bringing them what they need for the task at hand. Since we have Robert with us, and Robert has been great in presenting his case and his evolution and his training in an extremely difficult topic, in an extremely difficult industry with great success. I would like to take advantage of him for one last question, and just then, because we are way out of time, we can conclude. My question, Robert, I guess blends the very difficult subject of language learning that you are doing with AI. So how do you see generative AI impacting your industry, and how I guess these things can coexist? So language learning and AI, is it a threat for you? Is it an opportunity? Is it how this evolves? Because you're probably I know that it's a very difficult question, because you're probably one of the first few people who feel the effect of that. How are you planning for this?
Well, we definitely want to integrate AI to the learning process. I mean, you can see it as a threat, it is definitely a threat, but at the end of the day, people can have the tools, but if they don't use them, they're never going to learn. So you can have AI and you can have some sort of interactive robot or software giving you all the responses and learning from your mistakes. But if you don't do the day-to-day work, you're never going to learn a language. So as long as we're human, there's going to be a human activity involved in our side of the deal. Okay. So we see it as an opportunity. We want to integrate AI. We're integrating it not only in content creation, which is allowing us to create content faster, to react to our customer needs faster, but we're also paying attention to the AI developments out there, especially in speaking. There's one thing that is very difficult to provide in an LMS, in a language LMS, which is the ability to speak. There's a very popular app called Duolingo, and people, I mean, I've done it in many languages, and it's great, and it's fun, and it's great gamification, but do you really learn a language at the end? No. You know, language is like, it doesn't matter how many things you do, everything adds up, you know, but at the end of the day, can you communicate or not? Do you have the skills to write, speak, listen, and understand the language being transmitted to you and react to the spontaneity of what goes on in a language? So some of the apps, especially, for example, in our case, we have our videos, we have our exercises, we have the student sending us their assignments, and we have a team of people correcting the assignments, sending feedback. We have automatic feedback as well, but eventually we're missing on the speaking, especially since we're scaling. It was easier when it was one-on-one, or when we had a group of 10 customers, we could just basically have a small Zoom call or go and visit 10 customers. But now that we have 500 users, how are we going to be able to get them to, for example, speak English or speak Portuguese or speak Spanish? So we are already in conversations with some companies who are developing very promising AI interactions. We might eventually, hopefully, try to integrate that to LearnWorlds. If not, it's going to have to be like an external provider, but integrate that into our course offer in such a way that maybe they work outside in an app, but then they go into the LearnWorlds, into our LMS, and we can gauge them. But it's, to be honest with you, I find it's an opportunity, and we need to take advantage of the opportunity. If we feel it's a threat, then just, you know, shut the door, close the drapes, go to sleep, and that's it. You know, so you have to keep on fighting, and you have to see the glass half full, and see this as an opportunity to help you scale.
Great, thanks, Robert, for the insightful answer. One person's threat is another person's opportunity. So here we are to find answers through technology to enhance our significant powers as humans, empower our trainers, empower our end users, and do more. At the end, learning it requires, as you rightfully said, the human element. It's all about human involvement and engagement. So let's try to make the most out of that. So thanks, Robert, for being with us today in this webinar. Thanks, Elisa and Brett. Always a pleasure to hosting you. Thanks to Eleni, Veronica, Sarah, who prepared a lot of the material. Thanks, guys. Hopefully you had some nice answers from today's webinar, and some food for thought at least. You will receive the recording and the presentation. It was great having you, everyone here. Robert, bye-bye. Hi, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.